Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Welcome back to Let's Chat with Brandon and Tyler. Tyler is on a month-ish hiatus, or at least until the Elder Scrolls Lore History episodes are up. This is the first one, is very much a crash course on the Merethic and First Eras. During the Second Era episode, I'll explain some more things, and I'll most likely combine the Third and Fourth Eras together, as that is where all the games excluding ESO take place, with Skyrim being in the Fourth Era. Once all of those are up, I'll upload a compilation of each episode of the mini-series together for one episode. The goal of this whole thing is to give a little deeper than surface level of what's going on in the Elder Scrolls universe. It is very deep, and there is an excellent Elder Scrolls Lorecast I personally would recommend called Elder Scrolls Lorecast that will go significantly deeper if the topic interests you. Plus, with as honest as I am, I do better with a co-host and or a guest rather than going solo where I write my own script and everything becomes so boring and hurts the overall quality as a result. So in the beginning, known as the Dawn Era, is essentially the beginning of everything in the Elder Scrolls universe, with the Aedra, the Potomic beings to help create the world, and it bleeds into the Merethic Era. The Daedric princes don't contribute anything to the creation, therefore that's why they're called the Daedra. The Aldmer, Dummer, Chimmer, Bosmer become essentially the first inhabitants of Tamriel and Trinabak, and Aedra becomes Malekith, whom is a Daedric prince as well. And then you have the Drini Tower, Erd Tower, Adamantine Tower, same tower was created. The construction of Drini Tower and the different elves arriving to Nirn start the Merethic Era. In the Elder Scrolls universe, there are planes of existence. The world of Nirn, the Daedric realms, each Daedric prince controls. The Daedra, as I said, did not use any of their power. They just like doing their own thing. They're the most powerful beings in the Elder Scrolls universe. Think the Merethic Era as BCE/BC, as each numbered year is how many years before the start of the First Era. Merethic Era being designated as ME in the timeline. If you want to know your Daedric princes, there are the following: Azura, Boethia, Clavicus Vile, Hermaeus Mora, Hircine, Euthlia, Jigleg, Malekith, Mehrunes Dagon, Mephala, Meridia, Molagbal, Namira, Nocturnal, Pyrite, Sanguine, Vermina, and then finally a fan-favorite Daedric prince, Sheogorath. Anyways, in ME 250, the Drini Tower is constructed, the Aldmeris continent just disappears, and the Aldmer, who become the Altmer later on, arrive and settle on the island of Ardon, one of the 3 main islands of the Somerset Isles. In the middle of the Merethic Era, the Aldmeri search for Aldmeris fails, but in doing so, the Aldmer chart the rest of Tamriel and settle there. The ones that make it to Cyrodiil become the Aelids, which do die out later on. The Argonians are already on Tamriel at the time, and Blackmarsh, also known as Argonia. The Crystal Tower is built in the Somerset Isles, and the Whitegold Tower is built in Cyrodiil. Late Merethic era, the Dwemer, also known as the Deep Elves, are dwarves. They're not like short, stocky little things. They're normal elves. They are free thinkers who devote their time to science, engineering, and alchemy, and establish underground cities in the Verothi Mountains between Skyrim and Morrowind. Trimac, as I said, becomes Malakath. The Chimmer become long-lived and become devoted to ancestor worship, despising the secular culture of the Dwemer, causing minor raids and territorial disputes in Morrowind, and the Verothi culture formed on Vardenfell, which is a giant island that the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind takes place on. Sometime in the Merethic era, human races begin to migrate to Tamriel, like from Yolkulda, which is where the Red Guards come from. Then you have the Nords, which come down from Atmora. Atmora is freezing over at that point. Dwemer freehold colonies are constructed in the late Merethic era. The Verothi degenerate into the Ashlander tribes and become the great and minor houses of Morrowind. The first men and the Aldmer interbreed, which become the Bretons, humans that have elven blood, so think of them as like human-looking half-elves. Orcs are either discovered or appear in Craiglorn region between High Rock, Hammerfell, and Skyrim. They just worship Malakath or Trinimac, depending on the orc tribe. The Proto-Nords, which become Nords, finish migrating to northern Skyrim. Ysgramor and his 500 companions attack the Falmer, aka Snow Elves, and the Knight of Tears, causing him to just run away and go into slavery underneath the Dwemer or fight them. Over time, this does turn them into modern Falmer that appear in Skyrim. The Dragon War happens, and the Nords start worshipping the dragons, and dragon priests are the head of, well, the servants. The dragon priests and most of the dragons lose the war after the men rose up with the help of a few of the dragons to rebel against tyranny. ME1 becomes 1E0 in Valenwood, which is the founding of the Cameron dynasty and the start of the First Era. Now, the First Era is when things start getting hectic between the centuries, because there is no games in the First Era, the Merethic era, and the sheer amount of stuff that happens is exactly why this one is a crash course. If I made this a history lesson, this episode would become way too long for even my liking. A good YouTube channel with all the Elder Scrolls lore in depth is the channel called Imperial Knowledge. If you want a very good lore episode or channel, just go to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Anyways, the First Era is when everyone decided to start tracking dates, and King Elpir, the founder of the Cameron dynasty of Valenwood, declared it is the start of the First Era. When Ysgramor and the Nords were not satisfied with just Skyrim, they went on a conquering spree that took most of Morrowind, all of High Rock, and a decent-sized portion of Cyrodiil, which became the Nordic Empire. This was after committing genocide against the Snow Elves. The Chimmer declared war on the Dwemer after they decided to create a giant brass god. Uridil, Nerevar, Silthasil, Almexia, Vivek, and Dagoth were the leaders of the Chimmer forces against the Dwemer. The Dwemer activated their brass god way too early, and just about all of them disappeared off the planet. No one knows where the Dwemer went. There's a couple. You can meet one in Morrowind. The guy is a corpus disease, so he's just kind of immortal. He's bloated, is on these robotic spider leg looking things as a robotic lower half. And then after that whole shebang, Nerevar got killed, and then Almexia, Silthasil, and Vivek became the living gods of Morrowind, also called the Tribunal. The Azura, Daedric Prince, and was the primary focus of Chimmer worship, was unhappy about this and cursed the Chimmer and this turns them into the Dunmer. Azura created the Nerevarine prophecy, and the Nerevarine prophecy takes place in Elder Scrolls 3 and Morrowind. Only the living gods and a few of the Chimmer were left at this time. Cyrodiil had a slave uprising against Aliads. These humans will conquer the rest of Cyrodiil. Aktosh gives Elysia the gift of the dragon blood and all of her descendants, which would have the dragon blood as well, on top of also receiving the Amulet Kings, which is an amulet that keeps the Daedra from invading Nirn. Very important artifact. The Nordic Empire goes through a civil war, which makes them leave the provinces that are not Skyrim, and the Thracian plague unleashed by the Slode kills half the population of Tamriel. The Slode are toad slug-looking creatures. They're selfish necromancers. All Tamriel teams up for the All Flags Navy to declare war on the Slode and sink their kingdom. Turmoil in Tamriel happens for 500 years until Raymond Cyrodiil was born and was found with the Amulet Kings in his forehead. He united all of Tamriel, or at least most of it, and then Tamriel was invaded by the Tzaki. This was the first Akavir invasion. They invaded via Skyrim, and Raymond Cyrodiil helped repel the Akavir invaders. The Akavir had bowed to Raymond, identifying him as Dragonborn, and then he just takes the Akavir army as his own. Raymond's children were all assassinated after his death, so the Akavir Prentate Viridujshai takes the Imperial throne. Alduin's Wall starts construction. Mehrunes Dagon destroys Mournhold, and Almexi and Sultsil banish Mehrunes Dagon back to Oblivion. This has been your crash course of the Merethic and First Era. As always, you can email us at letschatbt@gmail.com. If you want to follow us, interact with us on social media, go to our Discord page. Follow us on Twitter/X, whatever term you prefer to use. Wow, I really can't speak today, can I? And you can also follow us on our Facebook page. Join the Facebook group, Discord. We are on Instagram. I'll do that.